Mississippi River means giant catfish. Everyone knows that. But Old Man River can be an intimidating cuss. That is, unless you know some of the aged gentleman's simple secrets. We join Doug Stange and Steve Hoffman, editors of the Catfish Insider magazine, along with Chris Winchester, Upper Mississippi Catman, on patrol for big flatheads.
Well, I think this is really one of the most interesting situations in the United States for catfish, because what you've got, you know, we got the Mississippi here, but you got the Ohio, you got the Missouri, and those huge waters, people have a hard time with the big water itself. But I think the point that you bring out, Chris, is that most of the time a lot of the fish are off of that big water. So you really don't have to worry about those thousands and thousands and thousands of acres. You come back in off a side channel here, and as we go up this side channel, this is actually going to begin to look like a small river. Chris is, of course, an In-Fisherman reader for a long time and a Catfish Insider reader. And Chris, what do you look for when you're looking for flatheads in a situation like this?
For a lot of structure, brush piles, preferably near deep holes or holes in the river system.
Okay, so we're coming in here, and if you look up this flowing side channel now, there's water coming through here, of course, moving off the main river. I say, literally, it looks like a small river any place in the United States. And I think that's the whole point. Come in off of that main river for the most part, a lot of the time, for most of the year, and look at this kind of structure that we have right here, which is, again, mainly timber and holes. And of course, Steve, it's not just any hole, though, is it?
No, really what we're looking for here are those mid-depth holes that have the most cover present. And as we look, none of the holes are very deep, especially when you compare them to the main river channel. But what we've got are these moderately deep holes with lots of cover that provide forage and safety and protection, and also protection from current for the fish that are using this side channel area.
Chris, what are we looking at here? That's a heck of a piece of timber right there in the water.
This is a log jam that's formed during the spring and the floods.
So that's the main river right out there.
The main river is about 100 yards from us right now, just on the side of the log channel, or log jam.
So that log's in there, that's shallow for the most part, but fish can be anywhere. There's a hole right here.
Yes.
I think that's where we're going to set up. You've caught fish here before, obviously.
Yes, I have.
You know, one of the questions we get asked quite a bit when it comes to bait options for catfish is, what are we after? Are we using prepared baits? Are we using cut baits? Are we using live baits? Really, the key thing here for flathead catfish is to use a good, hardy live bait. It doesn't have to be big necessarily, though that usually doesn't intimidate the size of the fish that we're after. But it has to be live. It has to have something that's going to move around on the hook and send out those vibrations that are going to attract the catfish. And that's exactly what we've got here with these bullheads.
Well, certainly one of the most compelling thing about catfish is the size of the fish. Now, channel cats, of course, record is 58 pounds, and then the blue cat is, what is it, 112, 111, 112, and then the flathead is, what, 123. This far north in the Mississippi River, I think the record is about 70, but Chris, you've caught fish to 61 pounds. Yep. I think 70 is extremely reachable for the Minnesota record. I don't know what the Wisconsin record is, but I mean, I'd have to guess there's 80-pound fish here.
I think a lot of the problem is that a lot of people come out here to fish for these fish. They're not rigging heavily enough. I see a lot of people using 20 and 30-pound tests. I think that that's
well,
plenty
for most
large.
people, that is heavy. That's extremely heavy. They've never fished as anything that heavy.
It definitely does take a lot of fish to break 30-pound tests, but we're fishing in an area here that is full of snags, full of trees. These fish a lot of times are going to get wrapped around these trees. We need to be able to bear down and to pull them out of the brush pile.
And then Steve, what were you talking about, the age of the fish a lot of times?
We know that age and growth studies they do right here in Minnesota show that these fish may be living to 29, 30, even 35 years. And you know, the fish have the time to grow that large given the right kind of environment, the right forage base, and the right type of water. One of the things that they've also noticed in doing these age growth distribution graphs is that the fish, after they reach about 10, 12 years old, you really start to get a size discrepancy. A fish that age may be as small as 20 pounds or he may be as large as 60 or 70 pounds. There's just no telling. A lot of it probably has to do with specific genetic characteristics, but probably much more has to do with just the type of environment where they're found. So if you're going after big fish, the record class catfish like we're talking about here, probably the bigger water environments would get the nod.
Again, the rigging is just classic catfish rigging. You know, you've got a slip sinker on your main line, a bead protecting the knot, you've got a swivel and then a leader. And a lot of people question leader length. And I think maybe one of the biggest mistakes is to go too long. We usually fish with something that is about 6 inches long. And I think that the reason for that is because when you're fishing in snags again, the longer the leader, the more likely you are to get snagged, especially for flatheads if you're using a lively live bait. So keep it short. And I also think that that keeps the bait more active, actually, because they have to pull against something that's a little bit shorter. Ooh, fish going. Yeah. Good. Don't move your rod there, Steve. Yep. That's a nice fish. That's a good way to start, I tell you, 15 minutes into the trip. Absolutely. Huh? Oh, nice fish. What a pretty one.
No.
Huh?
I wasn't a fan of no. It's a good fish.
They are tough. Holy cow. 30 pounder. Look at the head on that boy. Way to go, Chris. Good man. Good
Excellent way to start.
Put him right there on the flathead couch. Well, let's lift him out of there.
There we go.
I repeat, that is not bad 15 minutes into the trip. And he was working that bullhead there for about 5 minutes. Now that fish, if we hold him up, he's going to be, what, 42 inches? What do you think? A nice fish.
That is a good one, all right.
People are just intimidated by that big water, but you've noticed again, we've come in off of the big water, and we're in something that looks readily familiar to most people, like a small river. You got the snags, and we're just set up right in a hole next to the snags.
In the course of the great flow of large rivers, side channels naturally are carved from the floodplains. During spring, these channel areas are flooded, naturally gathering trees and tree limbs and other debris in the bends in the channel. This creates prime catfish habitat once water levels stabilize. The best side channels are relatively deeper holes near brush piles or snags, just as in small rivers. And it's usually best to set up near a snag, for these are the home areas of catfish. The junction where a channel connects with the main river also is a productive spot. Cats, though, may prowl anywhere throughout a side channel. One thing's for sure, catfish frequent side channels, and side channels generally are overlooked by anglers.
I'd say he's pushing 40.
Now, how many fish a year you're catching like that in these side channels?
I'd say 25, 30 fish.
And the biggest fish that you've caught in these side channels this far north is?
61 pounds.
61 pounds. Oh!
She's gone.
Looking like a second prop.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's going to be a great story, I'll tell you that right now.